let's just say I was out of the box. I'm full spectrum, baby. I'm on all the spectrums, diagnosed
I
at a young
love it.
age. But I was lucky that I had a mom who took that information and said, you know what? No, she just needs to be herself.
Yeah, beautiful.
Did not medicate me. Dyslexia, ADHD,
Yeah.
autistic savant tendencies, more so than not. And it was me giving me the permission for myself to do that, but I did get slammed down and put masks on because I wanted
Mm.
to be normal. So much normal. Hey Anya,
Hey.
what's your Christmas been like? How you been this month?
It's been okay actually. I actually really enjoy Christmas, as I've mentioned a few times. I quite enjoy it. I've got the kids and I have quite a nice, open, flowing family. We're all very chilled. We all get on with each other. There's no arguments. So it's very like just flowing really. It's quite nice. I've had
Fun.
quite a few days of celebration. I had like a day with my mum and my sister and my brother and my kids and stuff, and then my partner, and then had a different day with my dad and again with the ex my brother and Brad's family, and so we had like a whole different. Then I had a mini Christmas yesterday with some more family. So I just keep having little days of nice food, good music, kids
Mm.
opening presents, everyone in like a nice, non-rushed, non-work energy. And I really enjoy that. That's what I like about Christmas is everyone slows down a little bit, everyone relaxes, watches films, kicks back a little bit and doesn't have the stress. Well, specifically around me, they do. Um, so yeah, I'm quite grateful. I have quite a nice Christmas and have done for the past few years. When I was younger, it was a little bit more chaotic and everything was a bit much. But as I've got older and I've had a choice in what I do and how I do it, definitely find Christmas a joy. I enjoy it. Even before I had kids, I really do enjoy Christmas. So yeah, I had a nice Christmas. It was a bit stressful because we've just moved house and we hosted everyone here at Christmas, which was really nice. So that was good. But again, just getting everything ready, especially with the kids, it's you just got to do a lot. But big shout out to my dad because he made all the Christmas food, and I feel like I had a Christmas Day delivery. Like he literally brought all of the Christmas dinner with my brother ready made, and I just warmed it all up. So that was a real shout out because it took a whole job off my list.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and just a lot of integrational processes. I've definitely been thinking a lot over Christmas. I've seen a lot more on social media and I've like been aware a lot more of people that have lost people over Christmas and spending Christmas without someone this year. We
Mhm.
lost my nana 2 years ago, and I guess the first year it didn't really feel real, but this year it kind of felt really real that she wasn't here with us. And I know many people who have lost people that they've not had with them through Christmas. And it is a really hard time for that because it's so much about coming together and family and integration that when we don't have the people that make it so special, it can be a really painful reminder of that. So I guess I've been honoring that acknowledgement too, that maybe not everyone is also in that happy joy frequency if they are really missing someone.
Yeah, yeah, no, I heard that.
Mm.
Yeah. That was I would say I'm like that wasn't my experience. I was in my own internal processing and awareness and no expectations or obligations and I didn't practice anything traditional this year. I went with the flow and what felt right to me and actually randomly met up with my family on a date
Nice.
where they were out. I think that was actually Christmas Day. I don't know the timing of it, but they were out and I ended up being in the city and they're like, we're just gonna go eat. Do you want to come? And that was kind of like my, which
Nice.
felt great. Other than
Yeah.
that, I was just very, very immersed in my own experience. I was very
Yeah.
general as I usually go for Christmas. I mean, or winter season itself, solstice. I was up in the mountains. I was in just deep processing. So,
Yeah. I had a lovely witchy solstice night with my friend Claire. We had a little journaling and candle making and doing,
awesome.
burning like ceremonies and had a lot of reflections that night. Had a deep chat. She acted as like a therapist that night, to be fair. I feel like I was just like, I really needed the space to talk and she was great for that night. We do offer an exchange. I offer that for her many times. So it was nice to have that open space and specifically on the solstice night. I always quite like to make Like that's like our little witchy Christmas, you know. I think it's really important that you have even anything, even if it's a bath, you know, you don't need to do anything massive, but I think it's just a form of ceremony in a form of celebration and connection. So yeah, I really enjoyed that and I really enjoyed specifically allocating the time out of like mum life and cleaning and work just to have a specific night and not even just socializing because it was intentionally about healing and grounding and connecting. And again, the intention is what changes that because I could have just gone over to chill and just, you know, go around. But
Or
the intention, because it was solstice, which already had in his minds that we're going to do more of a connective experience, already allowed them emotions to surface that day, ready to be easily accessed that night. And I was feeling all sorts of things that day, you know, really overwhelmed, really everything was boiling over to the surface. So it was important that I got it out. And yeah, I had a nice solstice celebration. But I'm glad you managed to meet up with your family in a random
yeah,
flow because that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You know,
yep,
that's the
yep.
point. I loved what you said about no expectations. And really for me the only expectations were for the kids and making that like a beautiful Christmas for them. But everything else it just flows, you know. I was late to a few things and rescheduled a few things and there is that not lack of pressure to have to always be perfect and showing up and doing that and doing this. And like I said, other than the kids really. I took the expectation and pressure off and just went with the flow and that really made it a joyful experience.
That's awesome.
Mm.
That's those little highlights are the best. That is part of my experience, especially when I'm not looking at timing. I don't know which day is which, really, which is what happened
Yeah.
this winter. I was just like internal. I'm like, I don't have that concept of time, and then I just let those fun little joyful moments pop up as they do, and
Yeah.
gives my body a whole bunch of excitement.
Yeah. Yeah, and joy and like you say, natural flow, natural rhythm, not being forced, not being like shoved into a box and having to show up on a day where you might not be feeling the vibe, you know, you just went with the flow and that's what's really nice. And yeah, I guess this year was it was different because I feel like with Sky having the two children, it felt like a really whole, like full family. And we all had like matching jumpers, and it felt like when I used to read my own tarot card years ago, I actually have a card that I call the matching jumper card, and
Nice.
because it's like that little cozy Christmas card. And I never used to see my life like that because I'm just like a little wandering fairy that just, you know, here, there, everywhere with the wind. But this year it really felt like a very family orientated, very kid orientated, connective experience. And they are only very small like that for a little time. And so it is worth the commercial experience that you get whirlwind into and the overwhelm of it. When you see the little faces and all their excitement, you know, it is really beautiful. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little munchkins.
Exciting.
They just make it so magical, don't the kids? They make like the whole experience of life so magical.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed my partner's kids this year.
Yeah.
Also a very like kind of random experience that we just popped on that was a little bit unknown. But like we're not gonna do it. We're gonna do all the things that feel natural and fun. We're gonna randomize it. And it was just fun. Just had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and it allows, when you have the kids around, it allows you to step into your own inner child. It allows you to step into your own sense of like childlike self and remembering what that energy of pure joy felt like and pure excitement, you know,
Yep.
unfiltered without, like when we have the excitement for Christmas and stuff, it comes with the pressure, like you say, and the responsibility, specifically for me to get everything for the kids and the plans and the decoration, da, 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 you know, so the excitement's there, but it's not necessarily for me. And when you're a child, it's like it's all for you. You know, it's woo, it's such an exciting thing. And Phoenix is 2 this year, and he was laid in bed and he was like, "Mummy, I am so excited." And I just thought his little brain and his little body must be just so wondrous in the joy and the magic of everything that's to come. And so it just took me back to a place of real unfiltered joy and real like less adult, less human in the responsibility wise, and more childlike joy. And I guess I'd not felt that feeling for a long time because I do feel a lot of joy, but it does still come with the awareness of the adult. And I guess I'd not felt joy from the unfiltered child for a long time. And that was really nice to witness that experience and to witness that frequency again.
Yeah, that's fun. I love that. I want to say that my excitement felt very different this year as I'm moving through processes. It's like it's not this fast, like high hit excitement or the dopamine hit that I would have normally gotten even for last year. It's like this very centered, like feeling that I get that's exciting, but I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's processed a lot different this year. And even I was driving and there was somebody who had puppies out, and normally my reaction would be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see this puppy." My body was like, I might stop and look. Let's just go see. But I noticed in my body it wasn't like this huge excitement. It was I already have exactly what I need. I like that. I don't need anything new. And like it just didn't hit the same as it did. And to me, that's just telling my body that it's regulating more and more and doesn't need to be jumping at these things that it used to a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do feel that though. I really do feel that because I've been trying to like limit myself to when I see something because I like to go charity shopping, thrift shopping, and like look for things and just I don't think I just like to wander around little, shops and spaces. And I used to see something and if I liked it, I had to get it because I liked it. And now it's more asking myself, it's great that you like this, but do you need it? Like, do you
Oh
actually
yeah,
need
totally.
this thing,
Yep.
And I went around the whole of the charity shops, didn't buy any clothes, but I got a little cardigan and I was like, yeah, actually, I really don't need it, but the want for it and the use for it is there, and I will accept the middle ground there because I was like, well, I don't really need it, so should I get it, But I really, really liked it, and so I was like, right, okay, we'll settle to the middle because you don't have one like that. We'll agree that it has some function, and it was like I was sat there having a conversation with myself. But like you say, recognize that I was regulated enough to actually ask these questions and actually sit with myself rather than just impulsively getting the things that I don't need and filling up my house with space, like clutter and space I don't want on
Right.
things, that just because I liked them. But is it going to have a use? Is it going to have purpose? And I think that's more what I've been trying to direct the questions towards.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear that.
Mm.
That's exactly what my space is. I'm a super minimalist. I don't have a whole lot. I like space in my where I live. I like a lot of space. I like a lot of light. So, I don't even have furniture or anything like that. I have a table in there. I have my meditation space and my workspace, and I love the flow that I have running through there without all the extra things because for me, my body who is so sensitive to everything, really, even the tiniest sound that I hear vibrating on the ground, have more sensory things in its pathway does not help. It overwhelms.
No, and this is the thing, and I think also I've been doing a lot of work on like researching and educating on neurodivergency in women, and I think it's so under researched and so uneducated. That just reminded me, like, 'cause I'm the same. I'm like, fuck this, and I'm like, isn't it funny that something so small can create such a physical reaction in
For sure.
the human body and the human space? And that got me obviously looking into different things, and I have never been diagnosed medically, but I guess going to different psychologists and different, psychotherapists, things like that, you learn and also do my own criminology degree and learning psychotherapy and understanding psychology. You learn things about your own brain. But I guess recently I've been looking into the actual different breakdowns of like ADHD, for example, because I
Right.
am like a walking poster for ADHD. Anybody that knows me would not without doubt, without any sense of a doubt, know that I would not need a piece of paper to tell you that. But it might be interesting to know a little bit more about how my brain works and what types and like how the functionings and the ways and the patterns to be able to actually work with it a little bit more because feel like I had a recognition that of course my brain's not like normal and I knew that a long time ago. But I guess I didn't really understand. I still don't really understand, okay, but how and why and what things and methods I've learned many coping mechanisms over the years, but actually what useful tips are there by people that have researched these things? Ah, my nose
Right.
is really itchy. That we can look at and maybe educate ourselves. It's always my spirit guides that they like to sit on my nose and it's like this constant itching. And it's only when my spirit guides are trying to work with me and I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, the neurodivergency in women. I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts and finding what works for me, listening to what resonates with me, and turning off what does not because I'm very sensitive to energy and alignment of intention. And I've just been looking into how much it can affect us in relationships, communication, vulnerability,
Right,
your attachment style, like I said, your communication style, and all these different things are so impactful in things like relationships, friendships, maintaining jobs, maintaining, normal functioning, mainstream 3D things that we need to live a human life. And I guess a lot of it mainly is alleviating the shame that we all carry a lot as a neurodivergent person for not being able to do normal things. Like we
yep,
carry a lot of shame of like not being able to get places on time, not being able to not feel dysregulated and overwhelmed in certain environments, not, all these different things. I could list off 100 different things, but there is so much like shame and guilt, specifically me. I'll be like, why can't I just wake up earlier but then I do and I'm still late. Like I could be up there 10 hours early and I'm still late. And this is the point. It's not about the small little human things. It's about a poor sense of time management in my brain and not understanding that them things take longer than I think they do. And so everything then just take, and it's learning. That's what I've been doing. I've been learning so much more about
right.
the concepts of it and the human brain and how neurodivergency can show up and how that does affect us. And I guess I don't really have a specific point to this. I just wanted to share, I just wanted to share that I've been doing spiritual. I mean, I started doing a criminology degree at 18 years old. I'm 28 now. I've been researching the brain and psychology, and then I
Right.
went into hypnotherapy and past life regression and all the layers and layers and layers. So
No.
I've been doing the work on the conscious and subconscious mind for like 12 years. And I'm still only just getting to this point of understanding my own neurodivergent functions on, and maybe I've done it backwards because I don't like labels and I don't like self-fulfilling prophecies, so I kind of avoid that stuff. So maybe that's on me. I'll take that. But yeah, I guess my point would be just to never stop questioning, never stop learning, never stop wanting to gain more insight and more understanding on how we function, how you function specifically in your day-to-day life. And the shame piece, as we've already worked through a lot of that this year, we've been sitting with the shame, we've been sitting with that energy in the sacral chakra because that's where shame resides. We've been working with that a lot, and I think this naturally has to unfold because once we release the shame about not being normal, we can understand, well, how are we not normal and how can we
Right.
change certain things that make our life so much more of a joyful, easy, more enjoy. Like the joy is the key factor because I don't find joy when I'm in manic overload trying to be normal. I,
Oh,
I I
yep.
can't do it and it burns me out attempting to be. And so finding ways that work for me, but consistently and long term. Because I make changes that I implement for like a week and oh, it's great, and then it just falls off. It's like creating structure, creating continuous structure that can allow your brain to have more space, to allow that little neurodivergency, whatever that might be, to actually shine rather than be shoved in a box. That's what makes us that's what makes me so capable to run the retreats. I mean, I can do, people say it's like you've got 100 tabs in your brain. Well, it's because I have. And I find it easy to do that because, and for most normal people, that would overwhelm them. It's too much things going on at
Totally.
the
Totally.
time.
Yep.
And I can literally be watching a podcast, having a conversation on the phone to someone, doing a task all at the same time. And that feels like a, reasonable amount. Your brain can have so much capacity once you allow it to not be a restricting, limiting thing. Once you try and stop being the norm and figure out what your norm is, it allows everything just to take
Sure.
that pressure off a little bit. And that was the kind of the point. I don't really have a overall point, but the point was to just learn more about you. Spend this time
Totally.
over this reflective solstice period. As they said, it's very much a time to go within. It's very much a time to explore who you are, what you're about, how your brain works, what you're experiencing in this human realm, and what that looks like now. Because I knew who I were a lot, and then I had kids, and then I kind of found myself again, and then it's just an ever evolving project, but you have to constantly check back in with yourself on like,
Totally.
okay, how we doing? Who are we right now? What do we like doing? What's the joy inside?
Yeah, and I have to
Mm.
say that takes its time. And
Mm.
without any labels for me, let's just say I was out of the box. I'm full spectrum, baby. I'm on all the spectrums, diagnosed
I
at a young
love it.
age. But I was lucky that I had a mom who took that information and said, you know what? No, she just needs to be herself.
Yeah, beautiful.
Did not medicate me. Dyslexia, ADHD,
Yeah.
autistic savant tendencies, more so than not. And it was me giving me the permission for myself to do that, but I did get slammed down and put masks on because I wanted to
Mm.
be normal. So much normal. I'm like, I'm gonna, this is a human, and my masks were very good. They're very intricate.
Yeah. Right?
And
Like you would have no idea.
you would have no idea I can mimic a normal human like nobody's business. Like, hang up, let's go, girl. Um, so I put down, I put down, what I actually came in with, which was synesthesia, hyper spatial awareness, my unique ability to pick up patterns, which I was so just on point with, or colors, instruments. I put those down because I wanted to fit in. And how I work
Mm.
my masks were very specifically, I'm going to watch how humans are interacting, and I'm going to like, in my brain, it was mathematics, okay? In my brain, that was the pattern. It was mathematics down to a T, and I followed those mathematics and I put those max on. Now, heading
Mm.
into this last year and into this December, I have a lot. I'm denaturing all these masks, right? They're one at a time, they're coming off for my body and my body to be able to embody that. In doing
Mm.
so, taking off these masks, especially for like this autistic outside the box portion of that, the ADHD portion of that, that means like I inflect in spaces like I've been walking to a store and I'm feeling the space and I have to, it's like a dance that I'm doing at
Yeah.
that point because that portion of how I'm perceiving that is not how my body's going to feel safe. So either I'm clicking with my fingers or I'm rocking a little bit so I can move my body into a safe space. But even that alone was so vulnerable. And it took
Mm.
me probably, well, obviously this month, but it took me a good period of time to be like, you know what, this is how my natural essence is appearing in the reality. And my body was like, if I want to be all of myself, own myself, the ADHD, all these pieces, the dyslexia, then I'm gonna be interpreting my reality that way. I'm gonna be out that way. I'm gonna be speaking that way. I might have moments where I'm on camera and I'm like, hold on a second, I'm having a moment, right? Like there's something coming in. And that is so deep and so vulnerable. And how do we move through these spaces and not be in the box and work with that? That is, okay, what does my system need for this particular piece? I'm feeling ADHD here, which means I'm on 50 billion channels all at one time, right? It's happening. Okay, look, now my autistic point is coming in. I'm seeing every single pattern here in 2 seconds. How do I want to define that? How does it want to move through? What does my space look like? You know, I have one room that has nothing in it, absolutely nothing. I go in there when I don't need any stimulation, right? There's already too much going on, right?
Hmm.
Um, my living room doesn't have much in it except for a fireplace and a table. So if I want to create there, that's great. And then it kind of moves its way up to more stimulation as we go into my rooms, my office, my bedroom, depending on where I'm at. But I have to have that orientation. What timing is going to work for me because I work with clients. And for me to be high functioning in what I do, I need to have the space that I need in order to do that. I need my body to feel safe as I'm doing that. I need to have either water nearby that I can splash on myself or whatever the case is. So it's finding what timing works, what structure works. How am I going to reflect that? And then how vulnerable can I get with myself as I'm doing that? Because that means as I'm talking with you, I'm going to get real vulnerable here and say, man, I have times where I'm in the store and I just have to like sit there and beat my head for a second, right? There is too much stim going on. My body is hearing and sensing way too much at this moment. What does it need? And in order to do that in front of other people, it's also knowing that there's going to be possible judgments, right? There's going to be facets popping up.
100%. But
And
that is the definition of being human, no?
totally.
Yeah. And brave for you to honor that. And I totally relate. For me, I'm a bit of an escapist. I use headphones and I've lost them right now. So I've not been food shopping. I've not been food shopping since I've lost them because I can't bear the thought of having to go with all the like my body's already reacting to the thought of it, like suffocation.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely. It is a thing. Like it is a thing. We were all talking about it today, me and two friends that I went for lunch with the kids, and it was like genuinely is. We all have different ways that we do it. One of them runs in like their own supermarket sweep and gets everything in 30 seconds flat. And I actually removed that pressure to do it fast, so I now take extra slow. Like it takes me like 2 hours to do a food shop, but I have headphones on. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm like cruising around, just getting one thing at a time, checking all the ingredients, like I really just make it a very slow experience so that I don't feel overstimulated at the time. So that's like my way of doing it. And then the other one online shops. So completely avoids the experience altogether. And it's
Yep.
like we were laughing about that literally today. And, I got so overstimulated in the car. Phoenix is going through like testing his energy. I'm having to digital detox him because we moved house and he was watching like Paw Patrol and things on the telly, and now his behavior started to change because of it. Like at first it wasn't that bad, and then it was like constant, kicking off for the telly and asking for it like first thing in the morning and for last thing on the night, and it's changing his sleep schedule. So I've had to really acknowledge this the past few days. It's been only like since we moved house 2 weeks ago, so it's been the past couple of weeks. It's been more intense and over Christmas, and so I'm detoxing him, and I'm noticing like the level of screaming and pulling and shouting, like it is so bad. And he's only two, and obviously his nervous system's not regulated, but the like addiction and the dopamine release that they must get off watching that, it must be so intense for him to have such a physical reaction. But then because his physical reaction is so intense, he only allows me to regulate his nervous system. He doesn't like his dad to regulate, or my parents, or any of his grandparents or family. He will not find a regulation from anyone else. He will specifically only come to me. My daughter, she's different. She'll allow to be comforted by my mom and by her dad. Fine, but my son, no, just only me. And so I've got the constant like he's like it's every time he sees me just bursts out screaming right now and like crying for love or what he needs. And it's like I feel like the past few days have been so intense that then we were driving and he was screaming for 35 minutes solid. And I got to the point where I was like, I felt like I was going to pull my hair out. I was like, I actually can't drive with this noise. And I had to pull over and stand outside the front of the car. And I was like tapping on my chest, but I looked like a
Yeah.
gorilla. I was like a gorilla on the side of the car, trying
Yep.
to get air in my lungs
Yep.
and breathing. And he's screaming, and I was just like, I can't, like, because I am going to lose my shit. And I'm trying to drive, and it's so dangerous. And I just, again, there's probably going to be judgment from humans for that. But for me, I'm like, I was sometimes over disciplined, so my dad liked to use shouting like don't do that," and so I don't like to shout at my kids, but then I'm trying to find some form of a healthy balance because I do believe they need some form of discipline and understanding of the word no, and that level of
Yep.
you can't just take the piss basically. So I'm finding the balance, but I notice my inner child struggles so bad, so bad, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to shout at them. And then I'm like crying because I feel like this awful human and parent. But then it's like, well, how do you navigate that situation? Like, what do you do? Like, what actually is the best answer? There is no best answer. And this is what I mean. You have to just do your best at that time. And there is always going to be someone somewhere that is going to judge what you do. And that's cool. It's fine by me. As long as it's not myself, as long as I'm not the one judging
Exactly.
me for the
Exactly.
choices I'm making, like I have to be the only one on the earth, if not anyone, that has compassion, love, understanding,
Totally.
awareness, and yeah, I'm glad we shared these examples today because we're normal
Yep.
humans. This is the point. We're normal humans. This happened to me today. And so this is not
Yep.
a few year ago thing. We're all working through attempting to regulate a nervous system that is working on high alert,
Yep. And also
Ah,
low alert. I feel like mine switches. Like it's in the
yeah.
space where it feels more regulated, but I'm receiving
Mhm.
and I'm perceiving so much more than I ever have because I have unmasked and
Right?
I have resonated myself at a space where there is that capacity to do that. But that
Hmm.
also means like yeah, like as I'm going in the store, and this happened again like this just this week, just like you, where there were overwhelming and mostly this was the machinery that was in the store
Yeah.
carrying
Whoa.
it was wickedly too much. And that's where my inner child shines because when she was little, she did all these techniques, all these, and she did beat, she did breathe, and she did dance in a space and
Yeah,
hum,
man.
tone, sing. And so instead, I just give her permission. If that's what you need to do to regulate these noises and sounds, let's do it. The only one that's watching you is me, and I'm okay with it. You know, but for the body, it's to get it into that point of like, whew, yeah, this is definitely
Perception.
wickedly different.
Yeah, and it's like like a silent dream, like oh no. And like you say, I think that you hit so perfectly what I was trying to say. The nervous system is more regulated now, and that's the point. It is way more regulated than it ever has been because me a few years ago wouldn't even been able to be in that car. Gal had been stopped and out of the car about 20 minutes before, So the point is, yeah, we are far more regulated, but the point because of that, we are holding so much more, and we are processing so much more from the past, from right now, around it. Like you say, we are have this greater capacity to then release and process and whoa, man, am I going back to places that I didn't forgot about, didn't
Yep.
have a clue
Yep.
about, and sitting with
Yep.
that. And like you say, as much as I have had such a beautiful Christmas, that I do think is a little bit of it is a distraction, but a good one sometimes. It's a good one. It's a different word probably is used, but so, we've talked about it before how these events can be used to kind of collect up energy at them times where how can, in my opinion, how can a new year be when everything in nature is still? When everything in nature is hibernating and still and quiet and reflecting and resting and recharging. That's what we should be doing right now. We should be reflecting and resting and questioning and finding a little, and maybe not questioning, maybe just sleeping and healing. Like, I don't know, whatever's coming to you. And then for me, the new year is in spring when the earth is alive again, and I think majority of the earth, other than maybe Australia, is on the same timeline of Earth, with the spring and summer and winter, everything is at the more or less the similar time. So for me, in the majority, that's when I would say the new year is. However, another thing I will say is if the mass collective energy is sending an intention for new beginnings all at the same time, then I guess it is also kind of a new year because it's a
Yep.
form of new intentions, new beginnings, and there's such a mass energy sent towards that regardless of the day on the Gregorian calendar, it's creating that vibration in the frequency of the collective. So we're all able to access that anyways. So I don't really think it matters, is my point. I think we can celebrate both, celebrate the new beginnings of this winter period and the intention of new beginnings, and then celebrate the actual start of the new year in spring. April 1st is meant to be New Year, that's why they changed it to April Fool's Day, but apparently it's not a fact, just as a disclaimer, but it's an opinion.
It's a perspective, and really what we're hitting at, guys, is however you decide to move through your experience to know yourself, give yourself that time, that space, and opportunity to do that, whether that's winter, that's not winter. Definitely for me, that's winter. It's very internal. I do
I
like
think
to.
it's got to be for a lot of people, no, because it's like you slow down, you know?
Yep,
Mm.
yep, definitely slow down. I've been wanting to sleep
Mm.
rest a lot more, and I have my creation periods. My body doesn't want to be on right now, really. How you decide you want to move experience in with the color as it goes into the new
Yeah.
year, but I don't like set a date or my new year, my rebirth is, Halloween or time or something like that. Just depends.
Yeah. No, it's true because man, we go through multiple a year, it's like so many, like you said, death and rebirths. And I guess, yeah, I don't necessarily see New Year as that always. It's more for me like an intention setting point. I feel like it's a good time to set intentions of the vibration that's to come. So I do channel into that a little bit. But I guess the winter solstice period, the whole of December and, going into the January period, February, it is about resting and reflecting and healing and, finding the strength and the energy and all the things so that we can do that fast-paced movement going into the summertime. But this is the time where we recharge to have that energy to do that. So, just kind of channeling into the natural flow of where we are and, just looping back to the acceptance piece and the releasing of the shame piece, that can apply to all the things. And again, looping back to the neurodivergency in both men and women, I guess I carried so much like shame about not being able to communicate properly sometimes and having an extreme reaction to being vulnerable, a fear of being vulnerable, like an extremely defensive reaction, quite sometimes aggressive, not physically obviously, but like very defensive of like, don't come at me, I'll come at you, and that's very much present. And understanding that for me, that's just a genuine, not a natural flow for me, and it's a very difficult experience and a very physically sensory overloading experience for me to do. And that is why I'm having such a panicked fight or flight response, and my fight or flight is straight into fight. And so that's where my brain will go in. It just helped me understand that that's not, yes, I can change and have choice to work on that and not accept that behavior and say, oh, yeah, it's fine. But in the same respect, I can forgive and accept that that wasn't necessarily based upon a conscious choice of wanting to just be not a nice person. Do you know what I'm saying? There's an acceptance of knowing that that was me doing my utmost best, trying to regulate through experiences which were extremely difficult for me. And I was not giving myself awareness or acknowledgement for how difficult that was. And so my body was forced into a fight or flight space to survive the experience. And that then became a pattern on how to communicate because I didn't know, didn't recognize it, didn't acknowledge it, didn't realize where the root was, didn't, all the different layers to it. And I guess I never would have thought that one of the biggest routes towards that communication thing would have actually been understanding the neurodivergent functionings of my brain and how that affects me communicating. I'm working on a trauma perspective, thinking it's trauma based, and it's over here. I need to go the other way. I need to look at the
Yep.
the brain
Yep.
functionings rather than, and so I've been looking in the wrong place. And I guess that was my point earlier is the questions, sometimes you don't get the answers you want straight away. I've been working through all this stuff and working through so many layers for a long time that I guess I'm only just now putting pieces together on a bigger scale of my own brain. And I probably will be doing that for a long time to come, And so release the pressure to understand everything, to get everything, to fix everything, to be perfect, and just allow yourself to gain more understanding, but actually do the research. If you find yourself like you have a little bit of free time, watch podcasts like this, watch some other podcasts, learn some things, look at some science, independent medical journals that are not necessarily all government based. Not that that would be a problem, but on these specific topics. But I just think it's good to find unbiased and different forms of medical research that you can look at. So, yeah, question things, look around, and don't just accept the norm for what it is. Question if there's things that you could be doing that could make that experience far more expansive and far more natural for you.
Yeah, yeah, and absolutely take your time with it. It's taken me a really long time to just name that for my body.
Mm,
Hey, look, because that was for me
mm,
too. I definitely kept myself in shame, like this must be a trauma reaction, and my body would have a reaction to saying that, but then the shame came about, and now my body's like, absolutely not. This is how I am. This is how I was when I was little. This is a perception. It's how I work with my reality. These are the things I need here. These are the things that I don't need here.
yeah,
When I get overstimulated, this is what happens, or when I'm experiencing too much, this is what happens. And now with that heading into communication, because now my communication is really clear because I have that understanding of myself. And when I'm around people, I've created this card that says, "Here, if you're around me and you see this happening, and I'm nonverbal, right?
yeah.
This is what's happening. You don't need to fix me or anything like that. I'm working through my own process and my own regulation phase. Give me the space and time. I'll come back to you when I can." Okay.
Great. But what a great way to have the communication you'd need at that point already accessible to people without you having to do it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it really helped me out. It was really a beautiful process for me to be like, okay, and it was my body really naming it, like, hey, these are some things that happen when I'm out
Hmm.
and about and I'm experiencing a lot. I do go nonverbal. I do rock. I do these things. When that happens, here's what you can do, and that's
Yeah.
mostly don't fix me.
Yeah. Mostly nothing. Just leave me the fuck alone.
Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. My body will figure it out, and then we'll be able to communicate. And I also created one for just sovereign connections and relationships, where it's like I'm going to respect your boundaries, what you're doing, what you're saying, what your choices, and I'll take responsibility for my own things. If something needs to be repaired, then I will step up and say that. If I need to take accountability for something, then I'll say that. And that just gives my friends just a knowing that this is the respect. Here's how I how I work with this, how I perceive this, and I want them to know that because I've had definitely situations where things have needed to be in repair, and I've tried to work the repair, and some of those things weren't named or seen right off the bat, and so it was a harder time to work through. And so now I'm just very clear on my communication processes. Come on, boys, you got this. How
Mm.
they move through and how I want to interact with people, so I can keep my connections, so I can go deeper with my connections, right?
Yeah.
And so I can move this world in a way that actually works for me, where I feel empowered and where I feel sovereign and not
Mm.
like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, but it's so true because without that acknowledgement, you get left feeling like in the times where you can't regulate, there is something wrong with you, and that's not the case, you know. Like I must say, my mask is pretty good in most environments because I'm not exposed to a lot of environments that are that long out of my own choice, you know. So I kind of have my own comfort zones, my own flows, and I very much stick to them unless I'm traveling. And then the traveling is where I get triggered a lot sometimes, and I'm having to really work with that. And yeah, I think sometimes having the acknowledgement and being able to communicate that either pre-hand or in for some other form, because when I'm already at that place of not being able to communicate, it might not sometimes not verbal, it's just not being able to communicate what I need to be able to communicate clearly because I'm really overwhelmed and can't, like you said, verbalize the right words at the right time, you know? And so yeah, and it's difficult because then you're carrying this guilt and shame, like, why can't I just do that? Why am I not just a normal person? Why is everybody else on the plane or the train or the journey being able to do that? And you like internalizing all this shit, and it really is. It's a difficult game to play, and it's the same thing in relationships. You know, it's been like a fucking hoop I've jumped through for the past 15 years, and it's you yo-yo between this wanting to have this outcome, but then your brain not being able to find a pathway to get to said outcome, and usually creating the absolute opposite effect because your brain can't find a natural, normal way to sit with the uncomfortability. It's the uncomfortability that creates then usually the issue and the trigger, and then the fight or flight response and the defense and the aggressive. And so it's like this cycle that's created from this inability to just be able to communicate. And I think people do not know that. Like, if you do not experience this and you've never met anyone with this, or you don't live with someone with this, and you just kind of know someone that you might have seen a few times, you've probably not seen them unmasked. There's many people that don't know me unmasked that I consider them friends, but they're like different level friends, you know? Like, I have these friends and I have these friends, and these friends can see, these friends do not see, you know? And it's like different levels of visibility. And again, that part might be me not owning all parts of me fully yet, and that's okay. I'm okay with where I'm at right now. But
Totally.
it's acceptance. It's acceptance in all the places, in all whatever that looks like, whatever it looks like in all the places, and just releasing the shame, I think is a huge like keynote today. We have to acknowledge that we are usually the ones judging the most.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Mm.
Absolutely. And more, I know it took lots of time for me to have those different safety parameters with different people due to acceptance and needing to mask up with certain facets. And then my body this year was like, no, I'm not playing that anymore. I'm tired. So I'm gonna unmask fully, and whoever is gonna leave is gonna leave. And I gotta tell you, a lot of people left, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. It was what was needed and necessary at the time because my body was just like, no, this is not gonna be where I'm at, and that continues now. So even with me saying that to my friends, like, here's what happens with this. All my friends that I have now, I'm not saying that's a whole lot, but I got some really good key connections, know me fully unmasked. They know how I interact.
yeah,
I know what that's like.
yeah,
They enjoy that experience and they encourage that experience, and that's what I want to keep around, you know?
yeah. No, I agree. They are the true friends. I think I've got quite a few like mum friends and, like, I don't know what you'd, because I think acquaintances is like an offensive word, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I would consider them friends. They are friends. It's just like different levels of connection,
Absolutely.
and different levels of visibility and me, and also different levels of my comfortability because for all I know, there might have been a deep acceptance for me in my entirety unmasked, but because of the unknown and the uncertainty and the fear of being judged and then that affecting the kids or like anything like that, I just keep it at a very, I guess it's quite shallow, but not in a bad way, but like very surface, that's probably a better word. Very surface level version, it's pleasantries and nice and communication of basic things. And I'm sure I'm probably one of the weirdest people they know on a maths level, so it's fine. Like I'm still me, but just not the full blown let's go because I just think, I'm a very special human, and that is only accessible to those that have the ability to receive it in its entirety. Because when I experience rejection or judgment, it makes me afraid of sharing that again in deeper ways. So when I find that I can share the truest myself unmasked to people that, like you say, accept that and hold space for that and encourage that, I more so reserve that version of me for when I'm on my own and with them people, rather than sharing it with the wrong people and then it being met with judgment, criticism, or shut down or rejection, because that it seems to be more damaging for me.
Oh yeah, no, I hear that. It definitely was for me. And I
Yeah.
don't even I don't even not with those people. My body was like, absolutely not. They're not my reality. So we're not gonna interact that way. And knowing it goes through the whole process of okay, loss. Am I gonna get more connections? Okay, I'm gonna be on my own. Like all of those things process through that space as we're moving through these arenas. But my body was like, I'm too exhausted for that. I'm too exhausted to keep these masks up at this point. Like I
Yeah.
and that's just more deeper levels of I'm not judging myself while I'm out and about being myself. And
Mm.
for those that are coming into the space and that I'm attracting right now, I want to see you unmasked. I want to see you as yourself, and I want to be myself to entirely unmasked, and we'll probably be weird as hell together, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. That's what all of our retreats look like anyways. Lots of
Exactly.
weird fairies dancing around either under the sun, under the moon,
Exactly.
wherever we are. Love it. Love it, love it. Yeah, so no, but I think that's a really beautiful point. Like, and really good question to ask anybody watching as well. Like, if you are watching and you have made it this far, thank you for watching it this far. Think about how you can unmask today for the right people, or even just for yourself. Like, what is something you can do that makes your little inner self feel, and if you kind of like, what does that mean? Because even though I know a lot about all the terminology and words, sometimes it is a little bit like, what actually does that mean? I guess the best example would be, I kind of call it hats sometimes. So like when I get up and I'm having a little dance around the kitchen and I'm listening to whatever music I want and I'm wearing whatever I want because it's my expression. I'm eating whatever I want because that's my choice and expression. Again, that's me living in my entirety, my full self without the mask, regulating in whatever way I need to, moving my body in the intuitive flow, all of that, yeah, all of the above. Then say I wake up in a house with 15 people. I don't really know these people very well. They're all new people. I don't know them, they don't know me. Your gal's not going to be doing that. She's going to be wearing more reserved clothes that feel protective and safe and that also don't give off the wrong impression or like, anything overthinking all the things as always, and then there's going to be a choice of music, like how loud is it, what type of music is it, like, again, like the awareness of the environment, the awareness of how big am I being? That's a big question in my brain. Like I am a very loud music, loud singing, loud dancing, very expressionate person, and I find that some people, and I don't mean this with offense, but usually that was suppressed as a child, find it really difficult to be around, and they get really triggered because of their own internal suppression that they experienced, and I can like feel it burning at me, and I find it really uncomfortable to be around. So there is times like that where I'll just save it till I'm not around these people. Like, just give me 10 minutes till I'm out of the room, and then I can be in my own energy. And I don't personally see a problem with that. Someone else might. Someone else might feel like it's like being like half yourself. But I find, like I said, the best thing for me is to be in my authentic energy when I feel comfortable to do so. And if I don't feel comfortable to do so, I'm not gonna force it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, I would have to say the same thing for me. I do have my questions as I'm going out or I'm going into groups. Does my body feel like it needs to wear something different? Do I need to people please? Is there a line where I'm not going to be able to communicate like how I usually communicate? Like, what does that look like? I always test it before I go. If my body doesn't feel like that is a space where I can be entirely myself, that's a no, right? I'm not going to put my body into a space where it doesn't feel safe and comfortable and
Yeah.
confident. On the other hand, if there are spaces where, I'm kind of exploring that, where feel like I could kind of be myself, then I'm going to be entirely myself, but my body has a choice and option to leave whenever it needs to.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
a big thing. Big thing. Being able to leave when you need to.
So, I just encourage everybody to look for what you might be covering up. Could be something as simple as some clothes that cover up something that you don't like, or, telling somebody something that isn't actually what you mean at the time, to people please or save face or stay connected. Just to take a look at that. You don't even have to do anything about it right off the bat. Just bring it into awareness. And if that's what you want to continue doing, like there's no judgment there. Or if you want to start to shift that a little bit and put it down so that you can feel more natural in your own space, or however it is you want to feel, you just go for it. Take it at a pace that feels good to you, and also know like you're not the only one doing it. We're definitely doing it alongside with you, and it's
Yeah, indeed.
it's not an easy process, but know that you there are other people who are doing it, and whether you're on this podcast or you're listening to other people who have unmasked or working these processes, get the support that you need, and
Yeah.
know that you can do it, and you get the choice to lead yourself.
100%. Feel like that's a very beautiful place to wrap it all up.
Absolutely. All
Mm.
right, everybody, we love you so much. Again, these are all perspectives. Please lean into your own and choose your own adventure.
Yes, and please leave us any questions, any topics you would like us to cover. I'm thinking a little bit maybe we could dive into like the concept of relationships and communication and break that down a little bit because I think it's a thing. It's a thing.
I'm
So
super
we should maybe work with that again. I think that'd be a good topic. So let us know if that sounds like something you would like us to cover. And these videos, well, the audios will be becoming available on some podcasting platforms. So do keep an eye out for that because you'll be able to listen to us while you're driving, walking, and just take us along with you on your day. So please do give us a lot more feedback, whatever you feel like you want to check in and connect in with us. And, follow along on our social medias and make sure you're letting us know if you're interested in the next upcoming retreat in July this year. That is all still going under plans. We're just getting everything ready so we can release it out to the world.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anya.
Thank you.